Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the rulebook that keeps Singapore's financial markets safe and, well, fair for everybody. We're going to look at how a system built on trust and really tight supervision rose from the ashes of a massive market collapse to become the bedrock of a global financial hub. So to really get why Singapore's financial rules are so strong today, you have to rewind the clock to 1985. See, back then, the market was pretty much policing itself, but that all changed with the sudden collapse of a company called Pan Electric Industries. This was a crisis so bad, it actually shut down the entire stock exchange for 3 whole days. That one event, that was the trigger for a complete rethink of the entire system. So, how did Singapore actually go from that kind of chaos to the control it has today? Well, that's the journey we're going to take. We'll start with the fallout from that crisis. Then, we'll meet the new guardians of the market, unpack the rulebook that protects investors like you, see how they keep the game fair, and finally, look at the high-stakes world of company takeovers. The Pan Electric crisis in '85 was the ultimate wake-up call. It was a stark proof that just letting the market police itself wasn't going to cut it. It couldn't protect investors, it couldn't maintain confidence, and it definitely couldn't safeguard the wider economy. Something fundamental had to change. I mean, this event was a clear signal. The whole hands-off approach? Yeah, it had failed. Big time. It triggered a massive shift over to active supervision. The old rulebook was basically tossed out, and a much stricter framework was brought in, all designed to make sure a disaster like that could never, ever happen again. So what came out of this overhaul? Well, you got a whole new foundation for market safety, really built on 2 main pillars. Think of the Securities and Futures Act as the rulebook for everything that happens in the market. You know, the trading, the offers, the conduct. And then you have the Companies Act, which is all about how companies have to behave internally, making sure they're run properly from the inside out. Of course, a rule book is only as good as the referees you have enforcing it, right? So who are the guardians of this new market? Well, Singapore set up 2 key bodies to make sure these new laws had some real authority. On one hand, you've got the big one, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS for short. It's the chief regulator, the central bank that supervises the whole financial landscape, banking, insurance, you name it. And then on the other side, you have a super specialized group, the Securities Industry Council, or SIC. These guys focus on just one thing, making sure company takeovers are done by the book. And believe me, the MAS has real teeth. This isn't some passive watchdog. It has sweeping powers to investigate pretty much anyone, demand documents, issue direct orders, and hit rule breakers where it hurts, with civil penalties up to 3 times the profit they made. It really ensures everyone plays by the rules. Okay, so we've got the laws, we've got the refs, but how does all this actually protect you, the investor, when a company wants your money? The whole system of protection really boils down to one critical document. Before a company can offer its shares to the public, it almost always has to publish something called a prospectus. The best way to think about it is like a company's official, super detailed report card for investors. It's supposed to have everything you need to make a smart decision. So why all the fuss about this one document? Well, it's all about leveling the playing field. I mean, think about it. The company knows everything about itself, but you, the potential investor, you're starting from scratch. This document is meant to bridge that huge information gap. And this is really the core idea here. A prospectus isn't just some glossy marketing flyer. It has to be registered with the regulator. It has to tell you everything a reasonable investor would need to know. And this is huge. The company's directors are personally on the hook for any false statements. They can't just hide if they mislead you. But, you know, the system is also practical. It gets that for smaller, more targeted fundraising efforts, making a company create a full-blown prospectus might be total overkill. So there are some specific exceptions. So, for example, if a company is just doing some small personal offers and they're raising less than $5 million over a 12-month period, they don't have to go through the whole prospectus process. It's a nice balance, right? It protects investors without totally crushing a company's ability to raise capital efficiently. Okay, so that's protecting investors when a company is raising money. But the rules also have to stop people from from cheating. The law really targets 3 main ways people try to rig the game. First up, you have the big one, the classic, insider trading. This is when someone gets their hands on crucial information the public doesn't have yet, like a secret merger deal or a terrible earnings report, and they use that secret to trade and make a profit. Yeah, that's a huge no-no, strictly illegal. Next, you've got market rigging. And this is all about creating a false reality. Like, imagine someone just buying and selling a company's shares to themselves over and over again. It creates this illusion of a ton of trading activity, tricking other investors into thinking a stock is hot when it's really not. And the last one here is a big one. You can't just go around spreading lies. It's illegal to deliberately start false rumors or make misleading statements to pump up a stock's price or to drive it down, just for your own gain. So what happens if you get caught breaking these rules? Well, the consequences are severe, and they come in two flavors. First, the MAS can come after you with civil penalties and take back up to 3 times what you illegally made. But for the really serious stuff, it can become a criminal case, and that could mean massive fines and even years in prison. All right, last stop. What happens in the endgame? When one company tries to take control of another? That's a huge moment where smaller shareholders can get squeezed. So guess what? There's a special rulebook just for that. That rulebook is called the Takeover Code, and it's enforced by that specialist referee we talked about, the SIC. And its whole reason for existing can be boiled down to one word: fairness. It's there to stop a buyer from grabbing control of a company without giving all the other shareholders a fair shot to sell their shares at the same price. And the way it works is actually pretty simple. There's this one clear, bright line. The moment any person or a group of people working together gets 30% of a company's voting shares, boom, a trigger is pulled. And they are then legally required to make a formal offer to buy out every single other shareholder at a fair price. Now, what if that offer is a huge success and the buyer manages to get 90% of the shares? Well, the law gives them a way to wrap things up neatly. At that point, the new owner has the right to just buy out the last remaining shares, which makes for a clean, complete finish to the takeover. So you can see how from the ashes of that Pan Am crisis, Singapore built one of the world's most trusted and solid financial systems. The principles are crystal clear: fairness, transparency, and accountability. But with new technologies like crypto and AI changing the face of finance every single day, you have to ask, is the rulebook ready for what's coming next?